Hi, I'm Vickie Eisenstein with IdeateTV, and today I'm at LA Comic Con, and I'm here with Stephanie Tait, who has her hands in so many honey pots. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you.
Hello, everybody. So I am a podcaster and a writer, producer, director. I mean, it's LA, so I do it all.
Right on. So tell me a little bit about Sisters of Sci Fi.
Sisters of Sci Fi is about women in science fiction, but it's also half book club, where me and a female co-host will have read a story or a book by a woman, and we'll talk about it. And the other half is actually interviewing women in STEM, because the cool thing about that is you then get to hear about research that's not necessarily in the news, and you get to know the women who are at the forefront of this research.
Well, who was your favorite interview on that podcast?
Oh man, that's hard, because actually through the podcast I've become friends with a lot of these women.
Well, just like the one that pops to your mind.
I think probably the most recent one. It was also published on the 1-year anniversary of Sisters of Sci Fi. It's a woman who specializes in fungi and how it travels on the ocean. It's so amazing. And she also does a lot of climate change research, and you know, part of that is also the social justice aspect of climate change. So yeah, I say that one comes to mind.
Cool. I'll have to give it a listen. Now, why don't you tell me a little bit about Telling It to the Moon? I'll lift it up so people can see it. Tell it to the moon.
So Telling It to the Moon is 15 original fairy tales, and I lived abroad for 8 years, and when I was there I was able to do research on certain fairy tale and folktale traditions in country, because I was able to travel around so much easier than if I was based here. And so even though the stories are original, they're mine, the structure of them is based on fairy tales and folk tales from around the world. And there are a couple science fiction stories in there, but they're structured like fairy tales.
So were you like a huge fan of fairy tales as a kid?
Oh yeah, very much so. Fairy Tale Theater, you know, do you remember that series? It was on PBS. Oh my God, it's Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. It is 80s-tastic. You have to watch. It is actually crazy. They're all on cocaine. That was my favorite show when I was a kid. Yeah, that and Star Trek, obviously. So that really sort of informed a lot of my style and a lot of my loves, and so, yeah.
Who's your favorite fairy tale character?
That's a hard one. I love the 12 Dancing Princesses, because it felt a little Smash the Patriarchy, you know, because they were always like, okay, these are the societal conventions, and I'm just going to go do my thing at midnight, so... Yeah, I think the 12 Dancing Princesses are all my favorite.
Right on. We'll take 12 of them. So, cool. And then I see you've got the artwork from your book in front of us. Why don't you talk a little bit about like what inspired that sort of vision of it?
So, I love wood prints. I think they're amazing. And I wanted to bring in something that was really traditional. And even though I'm hoping that, you know, people can bring their own imagination to, you know, reading these stories, I still wanted to kind of inspire people even when they first open that page, you know, because there's something about opening the book, starting a story, and there's this amazing, elaborate thing in front of you. Yeah. And so my husband, who's part of Two Party Opera, he read the book and he decided to do the illustrations for me. And it was really incredible to have these characters that I've loved and lived with for so long suddenly come to life. And he got it on the first try. Like, it was really emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, you just got it. So, yeah.
That's amazing. It wasn't just like, hey, babe, do some free labor for me.
No, I was very lucky that he was generous enough to be like, do you want me to do this? Because I was talking about trying to find an illustrator and everything else, and he's like, I'll do it for you. And it was perfect. I mean, every time I look at these illustrations, it's really a little emotional for me, so.
That's awesome. Now, are there any other projects you're working on or anything that you'd like people to know about?
Not really.
All right, then. Perfect.
Sisters of Sci Fi has become my baby. It's, you know, I'm a one-woman show with the whole thing. I do all of the production, all of the producing, and I'm really proud of the work that I'm doing, because I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that they've been inspired to start, you know, looking into more things about women in STEM, and they've been reading more books by women, which is great. So, yeah.
So where should people go to listen to this, to read your book? How do they find you?
So for the book, you can go to verthandipress.com. It's very long and complicated, but it's named after one of the Norns in Norse mythology. And for the podcast, you can go to sistersofsci-fi.com, or you can go to iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play.
All right, well, thank you so much for the interview. I've been Vickie Eisenstein with IdeateTV. Make sure you smash that like button and click subscribe so you can see our other interviews.